the fellowships, passing 2 o'clock in the morning practice and rubber band fights and all the fun we had back before we had to get up and go to work early in the morning. But I tell you, there was no better way of time I could imagine spending those years after I got saved. I got an interview for Taco Bell because I wanted a job, and so I went, showed up to my manager who's going to give me an interview, and I had hair down around my shoulders. I'm 17 years old, and dude, all right, I'm going to get a job. And they're like, you're hired, but the hair has to go. And so I went and got a haircut, and so I was going to grow up. And I started June 24th, 1985. And so I started frying taco shells. I thought, this is life. I finally have found my niche in life. I became the one and only fryer of shells at Taco Bell in Washington and Colton. And I thought, I have arrived. I stayed at that job for a year. I got out and I quit on June 24th, 1986. And I started boot camp on July 24th, 1986, going into the Air Force. And I thought, okay, they took more of my hair off. And now I have arrived, because I am in the United States Air Force. I was going to aim high. I always wanted to be like Tom Cruise and fly as Top Gun, and I thought, yes. After a number of years, though, of washing airplanes and being in chemical suits out on the flight line at 20 degrees below zero, Georgia Air Force Base, this is not Top Gun. More than that, after work, I'd go and I'd stop by the liquor store every day because I didn't have any peace of mind. I had to find that in a bottle, and that went on for quite some time. I was quite a lonely person, and I would drink a while, then I would start making long-distance calls to people, family that I knew, because I had nothing else to do just because I wanted to talk, and life was really boring. But there's a whole lot of things God did that I don't have time for. But I was getting out of the Air Force. It was December 1989. I moved into a small bunch of apartments over on East Street here, and I was spending my last couple of months in the Air Force, and had moved into the apartment, driving down the hill every day. One night I pulled up on a Friday night and was getting out of my car. I had my camouflage uniform on, and I met a guy who was really big and looked mean. His name was Mike Gomez. He was getting into a car on a Friday night to go to a Spanish Bible study, and so he walked up to me to invite me to a Spanish Bible study. I still don't know why, but he did. And I said, no, I'm good, no thanks. But he started to tell me about what Jesus had done in his life and witnessed to me. And I had heard this before. I grew up in church, so I knew the gospel per se, words. But I didn't have the gospel. He did. And as he began to talk to me, I began to realize he had what I did not have, but what I desperately needed. And it was 4 months later that I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to get up the nerve to walk through the double doors of that little building down there on La Cadena, and I did on a Wednesday night, March 28, 1990. And I walked in, and there was Mike. Sit down. So, no, I'm just kidding. But I did. I sat down. He shook my hand. That night, I walked in a person that I have never been again. I was changed that night because I went to an altar and I just asked God, you've got to do something in my life. If you can do anything with this life. I was miserable. I was broken. And sometimes I still go back and remember what it felt like to be unsaved. And I shudder to remember that. And I'm so glad today that He saved me. I don't deserve that. I don't deserve anything He's done in my life because He changed me 23 years ago. I didn't become religious. I had already been that. He saved me. He took away some shame. He took away some brokenness that is just beyond what words can describe tonight. He saved me. He worked a miracle in my life. And I'm so glad for what He's done. And I tell you what, time flies by. It's an incredible thing to see what Jesus has done in my life. Amen. And I encourage you tonight, you're here this evening. We're not here to just make some music and, entertain you, then send you on your way. Listen, you need to change tonight. You must be born again. There is no other hope outside of Jesus.